Unit 9. All is not lost. Assalamu alaikum. In Unit 9, we will study the story of a nurse. But before we start, let me ask you a question about your own life. What profession would you like to take when you have completed your studies?
Sir, I'd like to be an engineer, a telecom engineer.
And I'd like to be a doctor or perhaps a surgeon.
Great. And why would you choose these occupations?
Sir, because telecom industry is booming these days and it is easy to get a lucrative job in a multinational company if one has a degree in telecom engineering.
And sir, I want to become a doctor because this way I can cure the sick people and reduce human misery and suffering.
I'm glad you have set your aims high and are ambitious to achieve them. Generally, we want to adopt professions that are financially rewarding and give us power, prestige, or fame. That's why most of us want to be a doctor, an engineer, a pilot, a diplomat, or a lawyer. There's nothing wrong with these or other popular ambitions. But we must not forget that there are other professions that are apparently unexciting, less rewarding, and unassuming, yet they are very crucial and valuable for the society. Through these modest professions, we can serve the humanity in many ways. One such profession is that of a nurse, without whose assistance a doctor would be literally handicapped.
But that's only for girls.
Not anymore. You can be a male nurse if you want to.
A male nurse? That'll be the last thing I'd ever like to be.
Why? Why do you oppose the idea so vehemently?
Sir, only losers become nurses. Besides, they have to obey the doctor all the times.
There are people who willingly choose the nursing profession and are proud of it. It's a shame if you measure success by worldly wealth or status. You never know if the losers in your eyes turn out to be the real winners. That's what I was saying. Greatness and honor do not lie in prestigious positions you hold, but in services that you render for your fellow beings. Islam teaches us the dignity of labor. Allah is pleased with those who dedicate their lives for others and serve humanity. Besides, it'll give you a sense of purpose and satisfaction if you work with the faith that you are valuable for the community. So don't look down upon any profession. Instead, learn to value each occupation and the people who work with dedication and honesty.
And have you forgotten how well the nurses took care of you when you were admitted in the hospital 2 years ago?
Yes, they comforted me when I was in pain and helped me recover soon.
Then perhaps you are ready to read the story of a nurse who was proud of her profession and wanted to reduce her patients' sufferings by helping them out. Her name was Rahila and she worked in the ICU of a neurology ward.
Sir, what does ICU stand for?
Oh, I know that. It stands for Intensive Care Unit. The patients who require serious care are treated in this unit.
Yes, that's right. And do you know which patients are admitted into a neurology ward?
Sir, patients whose nervous system is damaged or injured because of some accident.
Exactly. Usually, the patients with neurological disorder take much longer to recover, and they have to undergo various exercises during that process. Only a trained nurse can handle such patients. Now this nurse, Rahila, worked in the ICU of a neurology ward. One day, a patient with severe head and spinal injuries arrived at the hospital. The patient could not move her limbs. She could see and probably hear, but she could not talk. It was learnt that her name was Hira, and she was hit by a speeding bus while crossing a busy road. Her appalling condition touched Rahila's heart. She was an experienced nurse, but until now, she had never worked on any patient with such severe injuries. So she wondered if this patient could recover like other patients she had treated before. She called Hira's younger sister to come and talk to Hira.
But sir, you just said Hira could not talk. Then why did she ask her sister to talk to her?
Well, a vain hope struck Rahila that Hira's nearly dead neurons may come back to life in order to respond to someone with whom she was emotionally attached.
And did this technique work?
Well, apparently it didn't. So Rahila's fellow nurse considered it her desperate attempt. A senior doctor also advised Rahila not to waste time on this hopeless patient and ordered her to look after other patients who had chances of recovery.
Oh, that's not fair. Didn't they even give it a try?
Well, Rahila shared your feelings. She considered it unethical to abandon all hopes and leave the patient unattended without even trying. So she went up to the senior nurse and requested her that she wanted to work on this patient more closely. The senior nurse shocked her by saying that following the orders of the doctor in charge, Hira would soon be shifted to the general ward so that the bed could be spared for other patients.
What a pity. Didn't the patient's attendants request to keep her in the ICU?
Of course they did. They requested Rahila not to abandon the struggle. So Rahila decided to go against the doctor's will. She put her career in jeopardy and requested the senior doctors to allow her to work on this patient and somehow convinced them.
So, did Hira recover?
Well, Rahila continued working on her patient. She regularly did various exercises to help her, but there were little signs of her recovery. At times, Rahila felt as helpless as her patient and wondered if she could justify her stance before the senior doctors. But she did not lose hope and continued her efforts. Gradually, her perseverance bore fruit and she could see some early signs of recovery. She was thrilled to see that now her patient could lift her little finger. This meant that the damage was not permanent and everything was not lost. But then Rahila was sent to Karachi for a 3-month training course.
Oh, another twist in the story.
Well, Rahila did her best to leave her patient in good hands, and when she returned after 3 months, she had the shock of her life to see that her patient's bed had been taken by someone else.
Oh, how can they be so heartless?
Wait until you hear the end, because the next moment Rahila found her patient standing beside her and thanking her for all the pains she had taken. Hira was still on crutches, but now it was clear that she would get rid of them in few months' time. Hira's parents were also grateful to Rahila and blessed her for all the troubles she had taken for their daughter. Rahila felt rewarded and victorious. She was glad that she had made the right decision to keep Hira's muscles in motion while everyone around her had abandoned hope.
Oh, that's very moving. I now understand what an important role a nurse can play in one's life.
That's right. We should not underrate people who adopt humble professions. They can prove very valuable if they are dedicated and sincere to their professions. Well, now that the story is over, do you have any questions?
Sir, what qualities in the nurse made her successful?
Well, first of all, she was compassionate. She couldn't see her patient in misery. She was courageous enough to risk her career by refuting the doctor's opinion and voicing her own. She was also determined and resolute and never lost hope. She worked conscientiously and felt proud about her profession. I hope that answers your question.
Sir, one more question. In the exercises following Unit 9, one question is about cognates. What are cognates?
Words that are derived from the same original form are called cognates. For example, English word glass and its equivalent in Urdu, glass, are cognates. Similarly, the Urdu word haspatal is a cognate as it is derived from the same original form, hospital, in English. I hope you got that. Now, can you think of few more examples of cognates?
Yes, sir. Examples from the unit could be nurse, doctor, tube, ward, etc.
That's right. Well, that wraps up the unit. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. Thank you.